The world is changing before our eyes. In a small South Asian nation, Nepal, history was written in flames. Protesters stormed parliament, tore down barricades, pushed riot police out of the way, and set the entire legislative building ablaze. But to truly understand the spirit that fueled this defiance, we must look beyond Nepal's borders. We must look to West Africa, where Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso has ignited a global wave of resistance against corruption and exploitation. For months, people in Nepal had been growing restless. Anger over corruption, over politicians flaunting wealth, and over the deaths of young protesters had reached its breaking point. When demonstrators poured into the streets, they carried not only their grievances but also an unshakable belief that change was possible. This was the same belief Ibrahim Traoré had sparked in Burkina Faso, when he proved that even the youngest leader can confront entrenched systems of injustice. In his country, Traoré dared to nationalize resources, stand against foreign control, and redirect wealth back to his people. His actions sent shockwaves far beyond Africa. And in Nepal, that message was heard loud and clear. The scenes were unforgettable. Protesters rushed toward the gates of parliament. Some hurled stones, others ripped down barbed wire, while chants of freedom filled the air. Police responded with gunshots fired into the sky, tear gas canisters that burned the eyes and throats of the crowd, and armored barricades to keep them back. But the people did not retreat. They surged forward, chanting, "Enough is enough." Just as in Burkina Faso, where Traoré told his people that sovereignty and dignity were worth fighting for, the Nepalese people stood firm against their rulers. Tear gas rolled across the streets, suffocating clouds that brought tears, coughing, and burning skin. Yet amid the chaos, humanity remained. Strangers shared water with each other. Young men and women helped those blinded by gas. And in the middle of the storm, voices cried out that this fight was not for social media, not for spectacle, but for justice. They were inspired by leaders abroad, by the defiance of Traoré, who showed that real power lies with the people when they rise together. And then, the unthinkable happened. The parliament itself went up in flames. Smoke rose high into the Kathmandu sky. People waved Nepali flags from the tops of fire trucks as the building burned. They chanted victory slogans, declaring that the system that betrayed them was collapsing. This moment, captured on camera, mirrored the revolutionary spirit of Ouagadougou, where Traoré stood in front of crowds and promised that Burkina Faso would never again bow to foreign masters or corrupt elites. The fire in Nepal was not just physical, it was symbolic of a worldwide rejection of corrupt systems. In the middle of the chaos, even Nepal's ministers were not spared. As parliament went up in flames, government officials tried to flee through side gates and alleys, but the crowds were waiting. Angry protesters chased them down the streets, shouting, "Corruption must end." Some were beaten, their vehicles overturned, their security details scattered. For the people, this was not just about a building burning, it was about holding leaders accountable, face to face, for years of arrogance and betrayal. The fear on the ministers' faces mirrored the fear once seen in Burkina Faso's corrupt elites, when Traoré's rise exposed them. In that moment, Nepal's anger looked like an echo of Ouagadougou's uprising. To understand why Ibrahim Traoré has become such an inspiration, one must recall his modest lifestyle, his soldier's simplicity, and his unwavering determination to fight for his people. In Burkina Faso, he redirected billions of dollars in gold revenues away from foreign companies and back into local wages, schools, and hospitals. He ordered 100 tons of seeds to be dropped over farmland to spark a green revolution. He launched massive housing projects to solve accommodation issues once and for all. And he did this not with empty promises, but with action. This kind of leadership does not go unnoticed. Across Africa, across Asia, and now even in Nepal, the spirit of Traoré's defiance has become a model for the oppressed. The protesters in Kathmandu knew the risks. They faced riot police armed with guns, tear gas, and shields. Yet they marched forward. Their courage echoes the same courage Traoré called for when he told Africans to take ownership of their destiny. In Burkina Faso, the alliance of Sahel states was formed with Mali and Niger to resist foreign interference. In Nepal, people saw the same fight, ordinary citizens standing against a system that put politicians and elites above the lives of young people. The protesters even shouted that while the government protected its own, it left the injured to suffer. This anger is the universal cry of humanity against corruption. And yet, amid the destruction, the world saw something else: joy. People danced as the parliament burned. They waved flags in triumph. They sang of victory. Just as Burkinabe citizens celebrated reclaiming control over their gold and resources, Nepalese protesters celebrated reclaiming their dignity from a system that they felt had betrayed them. Across the continents, the message was the same: no government is untouchable when the people unite. This is why Ibrahim Traoré has become such a powerful figure in the global imagination. He is not just a president of Burkina Faso. He has become a symbol of youthful leadership, of honesty in the face of corruption, of sovereignty in the face of global exploitation. And in Nepal, whether the protesters knew it or not, they carried that same torch. The burning of parliament was not simply a local protest. It was a chapter in the global story of resistance that Traoré has inspired. As the flames consumed the building, the police and army melted away. Protesters waved goodbye to the very forces that had tried to suppress them hours earlier. They declared victory. They declared freedom. They declared that corruption would no longer rule unchallenged. This is exactly the spirit that Ibrahim Traoré embodies in Burkina Faso, a spirit of resilience, defiance, and faith in the people. And so, as the smoke cleared, as journalists recorded the rubble of parliament, one thing became clear: this was not the end, but the beginning. From Africa to Asia, a global revolution is underway. The rise of people power, the demand for justice, and the refusal to accept corruption are no longer isolated struggles. They are connected. The courage of a young captain in Burkina Faso has rippled across borders, continents, and cultures. His leadership has proven that when people rise, governments fall. The protest in Nepal will be remembered as one of the most dramatic uprisings in recent history. But its legacy is tied to something greater: the inspiration drawn from the global fight for sovereignty and dignity. When Ibrahim Traoré stood up in Ouagadougou, he lit a fire in the hearts of millions. That fire now burns in Nepal. And tomorrow, it may spread even further. Because this is bigger than one country, bigger than one parliament building, bigger than one protest. This is humanity rising. This is the world finally saying enough is enough. And in every chant, every flag raised, and every parliament set ablaze, you can hear the echo of Traoré's message: the people are the true power.